Everyone, jumping into the best prop bets that we have today, concentrating a little bit more on the NBA, at least with the first two prop bets, because I feel like we have a pretty decent edge there. So let's go ahead and start there. As you guys can see, we're not getting any fantasy score props just yet. Hopefully that populates in there sooner rather than later, maybe before the end of the video here. But the two that I want to touch on are going to be two kind of interesting ones, I would say. So Georges Niang is one that I think really pops up the most for me, at least today, in terms of his per 36 production with the players that are off the court for this game. So for those of you guys that are wondering, like, who's off the court for Cleveland, we're going to see that they are pretty banged up. So Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley are all out. So we saw this in the last game as well. And he was someone that I did call out would be the player that benefits the most with those players off the court. Unfortunately, we did not get any prop bets that game. Well, this one we are. And so when we look at his per 36 production with those players off the court, he averages 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. So a little bit more for, rebounds and assists, but still his per 36 production almost just in points is telling us that he should be able to get the over PRA here. And I like the fact that the data is also agreeing with this. So we can see basically across the board, the data is telling us that the over would be the way to go. A lot of the time, some of the prop bets that I like, that are prop bets that I want to give you guys as a play, sometimes they just make better bets on a sportsbook. I don't know if I've ever really shown off this tool too much, but if you go into the basketball tab, click on NBA Sportsbook props, it's just going to be a different way to look at the data. So looking at points, rebounds, and assists for him, we can see all the different sportsbooks that we are getting there, maybe some different evaluations for them as well. So I don't know, let's just take a peek at the over, because that's what I want to see. Are we getting any different lines anywhere? Not really, but like if you were to choose, like, Bet Online AG would be the best one, but we're getting the same lines across the board for this. That's kind of the point. So I do think that's a good bet, both PrizePicks, Underdog, and any of the sportsbooks that are listed here. And while we're talking about Cleveland, I will say I don't mind the idea of kind of stacking this game as well. Again, looking at the per 36 production for someone like Darius Garland, the data would suggest slightly the over for him PRA as well. And then Allen would be another one where, again, with Mobley off the court, he should be able to crush. He averages about 13 rebounds per 36, 18 points per 36, and then about 3.3 assists. The way I would get there, though, is mostly going to be in a game stack for him specifically. Now, the other one that I do like is going to be Kyle Lowry for over his points, rebounds, and assists. And this is very much going to be because of his minutes. So Philly is very banged up as well. I should call that out. You got Covington out, you got Embiid out, you got Maxey out, and you got Melton out. Now, I do want to call it that one player I want to see props on as well that we're not getting just yet is going to be Nick Batum, because he has been playing a lot of minutes as well, and he's been productive in many different ways, whether he's making a lot of baskets or if he's doing it rebounds-wise. So he has been someone that has been able to make a difference in the game multiple ways. We're not getting prop bets for him, but I do think that his lines are going to kind of be like Georges Niang there, where they're probably just a little bit wrong. But looking at Kyle Lowry, his minutes have been very heavy recently, 30 plus minutes in all those games where those players have been out. And if we look at the game log, we're going to see one game where he didn't get the over here. And we look at why. Well, he went 1 for 6, 1 for 4. You give him another 3 ball there, maybe it was 50%, he gets that over. He just had a bad game in that game. Now, maybe you want to do assists there. I wouldn't mind that. Like over 5.5 assists, that's one that I do like. You could definitely roll with that one. Again, I'm banking on the minutes being there. And this is one where it's kind of the opposite of what I said about Georges Niang, where this is going to be a better bet on one of the sports books rather than PrizePicks or Underdog. Most of you guys know by now the strategy for PrizePicks and Underdog is chasing these bets that give us the best EV expected value. And so chasing these ones where the sportsbook is favoring the under doesn't really make sense. And so let's just do the sportsbook view again here. Are we getting any edges there? We are seeing some slight differences here in the lines. So I don't know if you guys are someone that has access to Bet Rivers. That's a slight edge there. FanDuel, there's a better edge there compared to DraftKings. It's not that big, but that little difference can add up in the long term for sure. Maybe let's take a peek at assists. And so this is interesting. So I could definitely be wrong here. Don't get me wrong. But I like the over of 5.5 assists. So if you guys are someone that has access to like Unibet or Bet Rivers, probably not the best bet there because it's already being heavily favored for the over. But if you're someone that has access like FanDuel, let's just take a peek at the FanDuel line specifically. We're going to see that they are favoring the under there. So like it's a better payout on FanDuel if you bet the over there. So to me, that's a good bet there. And I always say like, oh, that's a good bet. I'm on the sportsbooks. That's why I'm trying to highlight kind of what I mean a little bit more when I say that. But looking at some other good prop bets that we have, these are going to be the EV bets that we currently have. I mean, this is crazy for Rudy Gobert. His rebounds is set at 16. That feels way too high for me. I'd be fine betting the under there as well. You got Josh Hart, rebounds at 9. Those are both being favored as pushes, though. Two prop bets that you probably just don't need to make. From there, we're not getting that great of EV bets. If you want to have Jalen Brunson for over a steal, you could do that. Those are bets that I particularly don't like to target too much. We'll take a peek at Underdog here as well. Underdog, the lines are extremely tight right now. We're really not getting any edges. A couple of prop line differences like Keegan Murray, 12.5 points, but I would say that these two being off kind of makes sense. You look at the projection data, he's projected to get 13.7 points. The average sportsbook line has this at 12.6, where they are favoring the over. So it does kind of make sense why one would be at 12.5 and the other would be at 13.5. This probably does get bumped to 13. Like, you probably just don't need to make that bet. And same thing with like Malik Monk here, where yeah, you could bet him over 3.5 rebounds, but it's just, I don't think that's all too worthwhile. So let's go ahead and jump into some other sports as well. Already kind of gave my deep dive for NBA. I do want to note that with Orlando here, if let's say Markelle Fultz is out, I don't mind Jalen Suggs for over his PRA, but if they're both out, Wagner should get a bump in his usage. Now, he's been terrible recently, but this is a pace up spot for him. The game total we can see is pretty high, 224 for them, and so I wouldn't mind him. But yes, jumping into some college basketball, guys, an extremely limited slate there as well. Really no edges there. It's a very tight board. Now, yesterday, it was a very good board. We ended up going 5 for 9. Unfortunately, 0 for 2 with the bet of the day. Bet slip wise, obviously that's going to happen. You can't get lucky or unlucky every single slate. Did suck that Sheed, the Houston blew out Kansas yesterday, where Sheed seemed like a lock to get his over if the game stayed close enough for long enough, and it just didn't. That was annoying. But yeah, today it doesn't seem like we're getting that many big edges, or really any at all. And what we're seeing fantasy score wise as well, really no edges there. The lines are pretty close across the board for both PrizePicks and Underdog. Now I'll take a peek at Underdog. You know, sometimes we get a bigger edge there. And definitely so. So like these first 4, I probably will be running out on a bet slip for Underdog. Like, I feel kind of fine with that for Underdog. Like, we see time and time again that we are gaining an edge on them. And so I'm fine with those 3. Don't like that the projection data is telling us that Reese could get over, though. Don't love that. Same thing here. So Owen Freeman, don't love that. And then real quickly, let's jump into some PGA props. So right now on the 9 to 5 Golf channel, I called out a bet of the day. Each day I called out 4 total actually thus far. It's went 4 for 4 thus far. I do think that it's going to miss today. Still, 4 out of 5, pretty good. I want to call out this one here for Sam Burns. I know he 3-putted the other day for us and really was a letdown, but he is someone that I expect to be able to get under his strokes or birdies or better. Like, I love the fact that the data is telling us to bet the under here, and I love the fact that this is a big prop line difference. I don't get what's going on here between the two sites right now. This is pretty crazy to me, and so go ahead and pull it up here for you guys. This should never be happening. Like, we are getting massive prop line differences, and I would imagine that this gets corrected maybe by the time this video is uploaded. But if all these lines are still there, where it's like 1.5 for a prop line difference, guys, please take advantage of that, because that is a clear edge that we are getting across the board. That just should not be happening. So for the bet of the day, I'm going to be including these bets in there. Okay, it just, you gotta. Then lastly, let's just pull up the discrepancies tab. We are getting some discrepancies. Just as an FYI, guys, I did kind of change some stuff so that some of these prop line differences for like COD and whatnot is going to be pulling in there a little bit more frequently. We are seeing some slight edges prop line difference wise. The biggest one that's popping up like the difference wise would be this one for fouls. I would imagine that it should be set at 1. It shouldn't be a difference between 0.5 and 1.5. Maybe there's something there, but like, I just don't feel the need to really target that. And then here's another kind of weird one as well. Like, these should never be more than 1 for a difference. Like esports, especially these low lines, there should be lines that are closer. It should be 0.5, especially when it's that low of a number. So definitely be fine using those if you are someone that bets on both sides. And so just as an FYI, I will be running out those middling opportunities for PGA. I know that some of them might have locked by the time you guys get here, and maybe the lines have changed, but it should never be 1.5. Like, chances are the middling could hit there. So that is something that I would suggest doing. This is giving me my bet of the day for Underdog. Feel pretty good about those two. The reason why I went with these two instead of all 4 of them is, again, because the projection data also agreed with the under bet here. And so like, this will be the bet of the day. And again, I know these PGA props are going to lock I mean, Sam Burns is probably going to lock by the time this video is uploaded, but these other two might still be available. I'm including Kyle Lowry in here just because I want to call it that I think he's a good bet on one of the sportsbooks. Okay, so once we get some fantasy score props for NBA and maybe some other prop bets that are popping up, use that instead of this on PrizePicks or Underdog. And even Georges Niang, like these are two better bets on one of the sports books. And that's really why I'm calling these out. Like today specifically, we're just not getting that big edges for PrizePicks and Underdog. Okay. And I really want to echo that. Okay. Like this is a day where I'm not playing that much today. Let's just make it that clear, other than the golf props that we already had that I touched on. Okay. Because we're getting clear edges there. Okay. So I just want to drive that point home. Now I'm going to clue this for the bet of the day tomorrow as well, the record for that, just as an FY. But like if you are someone that comes in here and just bets the bet of the day and you've been, profiting like we have been thus far this season, 100 plus units of profit in 2024, this might be a day to just not do that. Just calling that out. Maybe Underdog still, but PrizePicks again, better bets on one of the sportsbook. But that's going to be all for today's video, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Jump on into the 9to5sports.com membership. It's $10 a month, give you access to those updated day cheat sheets when they update. Good luck tonight, and as always, let's keep cashing.